Yo, welcome to Talking Sports with the KingR. I'm your host, the KingR. The NFL is down to 4 teams and Championship Sunday is set. But first, the college football playoffs crowns a championship. Yes, the first ever 12-team playoff has wrapped up. And congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes taking down the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in a, let's be honest, not so competitive matchup that I think some people were hoping for. But no surprise in the end that the Buckeyes got the W. I mean, Notre Dame, they got the ball first and they had a wicked opening drive, 75 yards, almost 10 minutes, and I think converting on a couple fourth downs and going up early 7-0. But that's about all she wrote for the Fighting Irish. Ohio State went on to score 31 unanswered points, as then Notre Dame did make it interesting, but Ohio State was able to hang on to win in the end, 34-23, and there you have it. The Buckeyes, they won the first 14 playoffs. They've won the first 12-team playoffs. The question becomes if and or when the committee and who's ever decide to expand the playoffs, will Ohio State win that the first time through? And it's been about because that was I believe that was the 2014 season going into 2015. Ohio State won. So it's been 10 years since Ohio State won a national championship. The Big Ten now, that's 2 years in a row, winning the national championship for the FBS. Michigan did it last year. Ohio State did this year. So take that, SEC. As someone from Big Ten country, it's nice to see the Big Ten, stick it to the SEC and ESPN, who all hate them because ESPN got left out of the Big Ten's TV deal, media rights, I should say, and the SEC, ESPN's all in bed with the SEC, and we know their bias. So, yeah. But I think I read something, the committee isn't going to make major changes in the upcoming years, but I mean, I think my biggest complaint is the wait. The wait it took to get to the national championship. We're in the third week of January, when for the most part it's always that first Monday in January, it feels like, or such, that college football is wrapped up. But here we go. But I mean, I love the playoff system. I love the expanded playoff system. It was just that they took a week off after championship weekend. Then because they let Navy Army play. Then they resumed play a week later, but then it was about 10 days between the first round and the quarterfinals. Because, oh man, we gotta play these games on New Year's Eve or on New Year's Day. And it's like, come on. No, just have it the following Saturday or following weekend, Friday, Saturday, And then it was a week later. Yeah, looking at my calendar. A week later, they had the semifinals. But then we were in that pickle again where we had to wait 10 days or so. But, I mean, to avoid the NFL, last Monday we had wild card weekend wrap up. So I get that you can't have college football, and you're not gonna have college football and Monday Night Football on the same night. Contracts of interest, and I mean, what a weekend it was for the NFL, and you top it off with, to be honest, a lackluster national championship game. I mean, if Notre Dame, it's always funny when one team just starts running away with the game. Okay, it's a blowout. Sure, the final score says otherwise. And the other team makes the final score look closer than the game actually felt. But it's like, oh man, yeah, they only lost by 11? Man, it must have been a close, exciting game. It's like, no, not really. If you look at the box score and all that, Ohio State dominated after being behind 7-0. And then it was all Buckeyes. Notre Dame took them a while to come back and to make it interesting. Some questionable calls, but it is what it is. But I think they need to work out the scheduling. That'd be my biggest. Because looking at, like I said, I'm looking at my calendar. That's just beside of me here, off screen. Because they played, was it the December 20th and 21st? Sounds about right. And they didn't play a week later. They played 10 days later. So if you have that third, or yeah, because the first week in December's conference is championship weekend. Then you got Navy, Army, they play. Then you have the first round of the playoffs. Then come on, just come back next weekend. You have the quarterfinals, and then you enter. Well, we still would have, if the semifinals were the same week as the semifinals. We would run into that situation of, like, I don't mind the national championship game being on the Monday. I'm used to that, this and so forth. It's kind of nice. I get, hey, college football is made for Saturdays, this and that. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine, say, because like if they kept that bye week, that every team had that bye week after championship Sunday or championship weekend in college football, take the week off and then regroup. But if they don't take that week off and go straight into the college football playoffs, everything will land up perfectly. That national championship game would be that Monday following the NFL regular season. Boom, there you go. What a great weekend. You have NFL wrapping up the regular season. You top it off with college football crowning national championship. But yet, like this year, I suppose, the FCS national championship was that Monday. So, scheduling, I mean, they could have the national championship game that Saturday. But beggars can't be choosers. I'm just saying what. And it's like, I know, oh, the Super Bowl. Why isn't the Super Bowl on a Saturday? Because everyone has Sunday off. Depends on your line of work. Depends on the line of work. Not everyone gets weekends off. Not everyone has a job in this day and age where, you have the weekend off. But, if you want to attend or watch such things live when they air to happen, you just find a way to get the day off. Tuesday, the other thing. And if you think you're going to be out partying, drinking, whatever, get the next day off. Okay? Be responsible. Think things through, so on and so forth. But I think I digress a little bit. So, next year, here we are. We saw, let's take a brief look at how the 12-team playoff system went first time round. Okay, so you had, 5 automatic bids, and those were the 5 conference champions who, well, won their conference championship game and were the highest ranked. Okay. Then the other 7 spots were filled by at-large bids determined by ranking system. By the college football rankings. The seeding was determined by, you had 4 teams that had byes, and those were the top 4 conference champions. Then the remaining 8 teams were ranked 5. I think was 5 the next conference champion? I think so. Oh, now it's making me think. Who was the 5th conference champion? The 5 conference champions this year were Georgia, Oregon, Boise State, Arizona State, and Clemson. Okay. Clemson won the ACC. I'm trying to remember. Did they host? Did they host their game? Did they play? Oh, did they play? Texas? Or was it the other way around? I forget now, to be honest. I would have to take a look. I swear that game was in Texas. If it was those two, because it was Indiana at Notre Dame. Tennessee was at Ohio State. Texas and Clemson. And then what was the... Why can't I think of the other game? It was SMU at Penn State. It was Notre Dame versus Indiana. Did I say Notre Dame versus Penn State? Because Penn State hosted. So, anyways, I digress to some extent. But anyways, so then I think, but then yeah, I think that 5th automatic bid didn't matter, and Clemson was at Texas. Yeah, that sounds about right. So then it was 1, 2, 3, 4 were the 4. So the confusing part was I don't mind the automatic bids, and I think winning your conference should matter, but I don't think they have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. To be honest, because you don't see that in March Madness, and I don't think you see that in too many other postseason play. That just because you were conference champion, you got the bye. Okay. I just go, to be honest, I go 1 through 12, and in the rankings, and unless where that 5th conference champion team is, if they're outside, well, they get put in. They become the 12th seed. But just go down the line. I don't care. I don't care if it's 3 SEC teams that are 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, and 4, or if it's 3. Because the number 2 ranked team ain't going to be from the same conference. We know that much. I don't think. But anyways, I don't care if 3 of the 4 teams that get by are from the same conference. If that's how the committee wants to rank them, fine, rank them. But just we're rewarding conference champions as automatic bids. We don't necessarily need to reward them with a bye. You know, I think that they could get rid of that. I don't mind the first round being played at the higher ranked teams, home game, so on and so forth. And then neutral sites after that, it varies. I get it, because we're in the hybrid mode of bowl season and playoff mode now. To be honest, they should just get rid of bowls. They want bowls, fine. Have the NIT. Have the NIT playoff system until you decide to expand the 12-team playoffs to 24 or 36 or whatever. And then have all these neutral site games and blah this, blah that. You know what I mean? But trying to think what else I liked and didn't like. I mean, I like that there was more teams with more opportunities. It was just that, what a surprise here. We got Ohio State, blue blood, who's been there before, but yet hasn't. They haven't won a national championship in 10 years or so. And then Notre Dame, who last time they won a national championship was in '86 or something like that. But they played in a national championship game 12 years ago. So, but I know. But, hey, opportunities. Just gotta get your foot in the door. That's the whole thing about expanding the playoffs. So, I mean, like I said, I think a few things I would do to change things around is maybe not wait that extra week in college football. There's talk about you gotta reduce the regular season anyways, or push it up or push it back or whatever if you want to expand the playoffs. So skip that bye week. Yeah, I know Army Navy gets that standalone game, but well, sorry. Maybe play it on. Well, they'll figure it out, and go straight into that. So that either you just play all the games on Saturday, or you have to work around, like even with the FCS. Like I said, they had their championship game the day after the NFL regular season that Monday because there's no Monday Night Football, but they were off for like 3 weeks. Maybe not 3 weeks. I think it was like 10 days. 2 weeks. No, maybe it was 10. Whatever. I digress. But hey, it's just a start. In my opinion, it's a good start. I'm hoping if my team, obviously the Wisconsin Badgers, they get their act together, I'm hoping I can see them in the college football playoffs in the near future. But and now in this day and age of transfer portals and NIL deals, I mean, the smaller unfortunate schools that don't get that booster or that money, however you want to word it, it's a little harder, but you bring in the right guys. It's the same thing. You need to find guys that fit your system for the coach, and if they can't run their system, well, I mean, they're not good enough. So, like I said, congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes on winning the first ever 12-team college football playoffs. Yay! And Big Ten. Yeah, 2 years in a row. So, before I move on to the NFL, I just want to say it's been, the last few days. How should I put it? I'm a sports fan, Wisconsin through and through. This past week, one of this Wisconsin legends, baseball announcer, broadcaster legend has passed away, Bob Uecker. I don't even know where to begin. This, it's sad. Anytime you lose a sports figure, icon, it's sad. And but it was nice that he lived a nice long life, 90 years young. Just missed out turning 91, but sounded like he had health issues at the end, and just it was time. But now going back, the Brewers made the postseason this past season, and just how that game ended, and hearing Uke on the call, is now just more more devastating. Brewers were winning. It was win or go home. And then they gave up. Devin Williams gives up a 2-run home run. Gives up the lead. And then had to go listen to you final out. And you could hear it in his voice that, this one stings. This one hurts. And just, 54 years with the Brewers, announcing games, telling stories, cracking jokes about, and that was the best part. This deadpan face, making fun of himself. Oh. And just, he'll be missed. I mean, we all have seen, he was part of Miller Lite commercials back in the 80s and 90s. He got the nickname Mr. Baseball from Johnny Carson. Even though he only played, 6 seasons and had 200 batting average. It was being on Johnny Carson, telling stories, cracking jokes, and then calling games for the crew that got him over. He was in the movie Major League. I think all three movies. Nothing tops Major League. He was part of his own TV show, comedy series, Mr. Belvedere, as a supporting cast. Main cast? I guess he was part of the main cast. But, and as a wrestling fan, WrestleMania 4, he was there at WrestleMania 3, and did the ring announcing to Andre the Giant, and Hulk Hogan was the ring announcer. And WrestleMania 4, the famous scene of Andre the Giant just choking him. So, anywho, he'll be missed. And just maybe, the Brewers, even though they're cheap owner and so forth, they can win one for him this year. But how the Dodgers are spending their money this offseason, I highly doubt it, but who knows? Anything's possible. Give us that, angels in the outfield kind of vibe. So we'll miss you, Uke, but what they say, don't cry, enjoy, something along those lines. Don't cry because they're gone. Cheer and laugh and smile because the times you had. Something like that. So, anywho, let's move on now. Divisional round of the NFL playoffs came and went. And we have some familiar faces, and we have some not so familiar faces. We start this past Saturday, divisional round, no surprise, Texans, Chiefs in Kansas City. And boy, oh boy, here we go again. No surprise, Chiefs take care of business. They beat the Texans, but there was some questionable officiating. And as an outside fan looking in, when you see stuff like that, you just man, do the calls or what just bounce into the Chiefs' favor? And it's getting sick and tiring. Ugh. Couple questionable roughing the passer penalties or late hits, but Chiefs got done outside of that. You don't want to blame the officiating, the refs for everything, but yeah, Chiefs win. They move on. No surprise there. They're heading back and hosting the AFC Championship game once again. The late game on Saturday and the 2 Sunday games though, oh my goodness. If you were just a football fan and did not have a dog in the fight and were just want some good football, those 3 games, they delivered. We actually had a rematch of the 1991 NFC Championship game. The Washington, Commanders now, formerly the Redskins, taking on the number 1 team, 15-win team, NFC North champions, the Detroit Lions, who are looking to go back to the NFC Championship game, which last year they ended their drought. You know, because these two teams met in '91 the NFC Championship game, and both teams were tied for the longest drought for appearance in the NFC Championship game. Detroit ended that, and what now? Washington ended their drought. They came in there, they came punching and fighting, took care of business, and never looked back. Back and forth action, high scoring, low defense, but there was a pick six or two, some big defensive plays, though. But Washington, hot, red, young, veteran coach, got her done. You know, surprise, surprise, as soon as Dan Snyder sells the team, here we are. 34 years later, they're back in the NFC Championship game, which is now funny. They ended the longest drought. The team with the longest drought now for NFC Championship game appearance is none other than, you guessed it, the Dallas Cowboys. 1995. It's been 30 years. It will be 30 years since they have appeared in an NFC Championship game. And basically since that season, the 95 season, they've only won like a handful of playoff games. And it's just redonkulous. The Bears are next on that list, and that was 2010. 2010. That's only 15 years ago. So, and now Detroit also, another fun fact, they joined the 2011 Green Bay Packers as the only 15-win team to not win a playoff game. And that hits me hard as a Packer fan. But also as a Packer fan, it's like no surprise. Detroit did not get back to the NFC Championship game nor to the Super Bowl. They're just, to say what you want about injuries. My Packers in 2010 had 13, 14, 15 guys on IR. They made the Super Bowl and won it. So I do believe it's all about coaching and having the right guys. And they had the right backups. Detroit obviously did not. So, congratulations, Washington, on reaching the NFC Championship game. Yay. Sunday, early game. Rams, Eagles, LA, Philly, West Coast, East Coast. Philly has not beaten the Rams in the postseason since, what was I read, 1949? 76 years since the last time they beat the Rams in a playoff game. Well, you can cross that off the board as snow slowly started to fall late in the second quarter and just kept falling through the second half. The Eagles were able to hang on, beat the Rams. Rams had a chance at the end, but some questionable play calling, and the Rams. I feel like actually for those 3 games, if not all 4 games, the teams that all lost, they lost the turnover battle. They played sloppy. And for, say, the Lions and the Rams to stay in it near the end is not surprising because they're also considered elite. High on the echelon. But yeah, the Rams came up short. If that game was played in LA, I truly believe the Rams would have won. Even if it wasn't snowing, I'll just be honest. If it was just cold and no other elements, I think the Rams could have won that game. But ifs and buts were candy and nuts. Every day would be a Merry Christmas. So now we have, on the NFC side, an NFC East NFC Championship game. Philadelphia, Washington. There's going to be some bad blood. But first, the late game on Sunday, the AFC. Buffalo hosting Baltimore. Baltimore earlier in the season took care of the Bills. This time round, sorry to say, different story. Like I said, the teams that all lost had turnover issues, and that was Baltimore. Baltimore had turnover issues in that game, and they just came at the wrong time. And great till the end. With a minute and a half left in the game, Lamar Jackson hits Likely for the touchdown. They're down by 2. Just need a 2-point conversion to force overtime, most likely. Yes, there was like a minute and a half. Buffalo had all 3 timeouts, but a quarterback's best friend, the tight end, Mark Andrews, drops it, and it's not the first time he's done such stuff at end of games. I kept seeing a clip about him dropping one against Pittsburgh, but I digress. But those games, and weather was a factor too. Not as much snow, but it was coming down, cold and wind. But both these teams are outdoor teams and play on the East Coast, so Baltimore was in there, but this came up short, unfortunately. And Buffalo and the Bills, they got her done. So we have, for the first time in 3 years, 4 years, I think 4 years, the Bills and Chiefs will play in the AFC Championship game. I would have to look that up. Maybe next time I'll write that down or remember it. But it looks like we are going to have 2 stellar championship games. That's what the playoffs, any form of the playoffs, are made to be. The weak are weeded out and the strong survive. And it doesn't matter what your seeding is and so forth. Like I said, once you get that foot in the door, the first rounds are always, you always expect upsets. Second rounds, some stunners. But once you get to third, fourth, and final round, whatever, how many rounds there are, you're expecting some of the best competition. And that's what we saw in the college football playoffs, in the semifinals. Maybe not quite in the national championship game, but now here in the NFL, you kind of see it too. Wild card weekend, divisional round though, championship Sunday, man. Let's wait and see. Let's see how this turns out. I mean, at first glance, I have to go with Buffalo on the AFC side. I'm sick and tired of Kansas City. I don't care how nice of a guy Patrick Mahomes is. It's that whole, yes, you want to see him 6-7 years ago. When did he play against Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game? You want to see him beat Tom Brady because we were sick of tired of Tom Brady. Now that they've played like 8 straight AFC Championship games now, you're sick and tired of Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, no. Or before I even get what's the old saying? You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. And to be honest, that's where we are with Kansas City as a whole. They're the villains now. They might not see it, but the rest of the world, rest of the non-Chief fans see it. And that's the way in sports. Okay? A team with too much success. Either you enjoy that if you're a fan, or you like seeing that, or you just sick and tired because your team can't beat them and can't win the big one, or it's same old. I hate repetition. Let's spread the ball around, So I gotta go with Buffalo. But I can only imagine how many flaming tables will be busted and broken if they make it to the Super Bowl and or win it. Ugh. So, but unfortunately, Josh Allen, 0-3 against the Chiefs in the postseason. There's only one other quarterback who's 0-4 against the same team. And unfortunately, I know that too well because that's Aaron Rodgers. And that's against the San Francisco 49ers. And a loss against them in 2012, 2013, 2019, and 2021. Ugh. Don't know what it is, but so I'll be more cheering for a Chiefs loss than a Bills victory. And on the flip side, same thing, similar. I have to go with Washington because I don't like Philly. I hate Philadelphia. The Eagles suck. They've given my Packers. They beat my Packers is one thing when if ifs and buts again. When they had a chance, if the Packers came in more motivated, but they weren't. The whole 4th and 26, just Philly in general because 2001 Bucks or 2000 Bucks, 2001 Bucks. They got screwed by the refs and the 76ers. So I just don't care for the city. I will say I do like Gritty. Gritty is a plus on for the Flyers. Great mascot. But the Fanatic, screw him. He can go and burn in mascot hell, I guess. Something like that. So, and Washington, say, 30 some years, like I said. What did I say, 35 years? 34 years. 34, 35. It's been 34 years since they made it to the conference champ, and that's the last time they made it to the Super Bowl. And who did they play in that Super Bowl? Oh, that's right, Buffalo. That's right, Buffalo. So we could have a rematch of Super Bowl 26, I believe. Yes. We could have a rematch of Super Bowl 26. Buffalo, they would return 1990-91 Super Bowl 25. Buffalo misses the field goal wide right against the Giants. Oh. Buffalo returns to the Super Bowl the following year. They lose to the Washington Redskins. So the city of Buffalo has redemption on their mind. Okay? But it'd be also ironic if it was Buffalo, Philadelphia, because then Buffalo will be the first team, I do believe, to face all 4 teams from another division in the Super Bowl. Because when the Bills went to 4 straight, it was the Giants, it was the Redskins, and Dallas twice. So, yeah, that's more or less will do it this time around. I can't wait for next weekend, Championship Sunday. I plan on making another video about that. But the talk about the upcoming Super Bowl and anything else that's on my mind that's sports related. College football has wrapped up. The football season, the main majority football season's just about to wrap up. I mean, unless you're like me, I love football, American football, and we're just 2 months away from the UFL coming back. We see ads all the time on Fox. Can't wait. And they're even expanding. So, I do dabble in Canadian football, but that doesn't start till May, I think. May or June. So, yeah. But spring training's is like less than 2 weeks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 weeks away. I know I already talked about Bob Uecker. Baseball's just starting up, and those damn Dodgers. Ugh. So, and you have the NBA, the NHL. They're in full swing. They're past their mid-season mark, technically. All-Star games should be coming up soon for the NHL. I think that's next weekend. Not this upcoming weekend with championship. The following weekend. It's usually the same weekend as the Pro Bowl, if you want to call it the Pro Bowl anymore. It seems like maybe that's something I can talk about later, another time. And the NBA and so forth. And then, like I said, maybe take a little downtime after Super Bowl, and then get back into it around March when college basketball, b-ball, gets ramped up. Spring training is in full swing, and baseball starts at the end of March, April. So, yeah, we got lots of sports to talk about. And the draft, and next thing you know, football's back. Man, I love sports, even if my teams just suck. But anywho, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And until next time, adios, muchachos.